beauty of what we do is that Paul will just be talking, and I'll just start the intro. But I forgot to hit recording today, so we had to redo that.
This is my secret life laid bare. I do most of my computing from this position, like in a chair in the living room. God, look at, geez, what am I doing? You ever try to adjust your hair like with the thing reversed or whatever?
No.
Okay, so it's called mirror.
So what explain to the dear listeners what you have concocted over there.
So my son is visiting. It's a long story. He has a car. It's technically in my name. He has to sign the title. I have to sign the title over him, which I've already done, but it has to be notarized, which he tried to do in New York. It has to be notarized in the state of Pennsylvania. So we're getting a visit, and that means he's sleeping in the room that I normally record the podcast in. And so at 10:09, I was like, I'm going to figure something out. So I have this little tripod-y thing that I got for my phone. Super excited about it. I was like, I'll use this. And then we try to figure it out on the phone, anyway, here we are.
It's like going to Universal Studios every time we call in here because I don't know what sort of visual effect I'm going to get. Sometimes it's normal. Sometimes it's a roller coaster.
I'm adjusting my computer like that's going to change something. I've all these lights behind me and stuff. I don't know. This is more than people need to know. It's the weirdest thing I'm looking at. Like the screen is so weird.
Yeah, because you're doing what I'm doing, except without a phone. That you are over there, but I have to look at the camera, which is up there.
This is the worst possible setup imaginable. It's like I'm using the phone, but it's the phone connected through phone link, so it's like connected as a camera on the computer, and I'm using the computer's audio, which should be crappy. And then, we use Google Meet for this because we hate ourselves, and Google Meet's running on my computer, the website. Let me know if this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, most of it doesn't anyways. But Build is next week?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to that, are you?
I am.
Oh, that's right, you are. Actually, I think I knew that.
Yeah, so that's going to impact things, right? So how, though? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm traveling Monday and Tuesday, so it'll definitely impact those days.
No, it'll make it easy. Good. Okay. One less thing to figure out, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. And I should be back, I think, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to be in front.
So when are you leaving?
Early Sunday.
Does Build start Monday?
And when I get there will depend on if I make my connection in Chicago, which is pretty tight, and in different terminals. So hilarious.
Well, yeah, I've done that through Chicago, and I do not admire. I'm not envious of that.
Well, the alternative would be to drive to Newark and then hope Newark works. And I don't know if you've been following the news lately. Newark's not working, and the entire New Jersey transit system is down. This is every train in the state that is an Amtrak or whatever, not working, which is incredible. Like when I go to New York, that's how I keep adjusting my camera. Like, that's going to do anything. Like that's how you commute into New York from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Most people.
Well, you can have fun with that.
It's not going to be fun, Brad. It's going to be bad.
There was something I was going to mention. I don't even know it. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know.
Can I take a guess what it might be? Because you texted me yesterday about this Xbox thing.
So that's what it was. So I texted Paul yesterday morning. I was like, hey, there's a job posting on Qualcomm's page about using Qualcomm stuff and Xbox hardware. And I think they pulled that post, by the way.
Weird.
Yeah, weird.
So I met with Qualcomm about 2 weeks ago, and I specifically went there hoping to learn more about, well, two things, like the next gen Snapdragon, obviously, and then, potential competition in the ARM space. And they only addressed both in passing, but the fact that they addressed competition in passing tells me that it's happening, right? I didn't hear anything about timeframes or anything. And the questions there, of course, are who and what and when and all that stuff. But one of the big rumors is that and MediaTek and or NVIDIA will be involved in something, right? So MediaTek makes good mobile chips like they use in Chromebook Plus devices, et cetera, phones, whatever. But NVIDIA is interesting because the graphics, right? And it's interesting that Snapdragon will be used in something Xbox, right? And now there are rumors, I guess, that maybe ARM is doing something with ARM. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
AMD is doing something with ARM.
there's a lot. There's so much to unpack with the next gen Xbox strategy because, right, we all know this is an Xbox. So, like, how is that going to play? Because technically, because people are like, no, there's no way they'd use ARM for an Xbox. If you use Microsoft's liberal definition of what is an Xbox today, there's already an ARM based Xbox. It's called the Logitech G Cloud, and it's based off of Qualcomm's whatever chip.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you can say your phone as well.
right, yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Every Samsung phone that has a Qualcomm chip in it, or a whole high end
no, but
phone,
that's not
really.
what they mean, right? So this is a device, and it doesn't mean it's a console, but this has been a thing we've been talking about. It could be. Um, I don't know if I had to speculate, and I do. I'm going to guess and say this is probably, well, most likely is that it's a next gen. No, sorry, is a handheld gaming something.
Yeah,
But
I
then
think
again,
that's reasonable.
it is. But you, you don't. You can't just do a new architecture for that. I mean, this thing has to run unless the whole platform's changing. It has to emulate x86 code, and that works great for apps, but it does not work great for games.
Right.
So I don't know. I think this actually does point to, but look, look, is there some hybrid future where it's like Snapdragon chipset, but dedicated graphics, AMD or otherwise,
I don't know.
AMD,
I
whatever. I
think we're
don't
going
know.
to
I don't
see.
know either. But
So to your point, there's going to be awkward conversations at some point, or awkward marketing, I guess, at some point where Microsoft's going to have to dictate, like, okay, this isn't like an Xbox and it can play all your games and everything, but this is also an Xbox that can play most of your games and it can stream them, but it's right.
yeah, but that's not going to do it.
No, it's not. And they have a
That's my point is that's not going to do it. So look, Xbox has done architecture shifts. The first one was x86, then it was PowerPC, then it went back to x86, right? It's been AMD for the previous two gens. So AMD processor and graphics. AMD is going to want that business. For the well, I assume they will. AMD doing it and doing ARM or whatever, to some degree makes sense. I mean, obviously, maybe not obviously. Like the computer I'm using right here is one of the latest gen AMDs, right? And so this thing is thicker and heavier than other laptops, but the graphics quality is crazy. Like you play like Call of Duty, it's like full res, really high frame rate. It's a Copilot plus PC, but it gets 8 hours of battery life, right? Not on games, but I mean like just using it normally like a laptop. But it's heavy, like it's heavier. I don't know, like
here's the other
like
wrinkle.
Snapdragon plus AMD is kind of interesting.
Here's the wrinkle, and maybe wrinkle is the wrong way to do it, but there continue to be rumors about an AMD ARM processor coming to market,
Right.
potentially with
Yep.
Surface devices, maybe even this year or sometime like in a year from now.
Which would
So,
solve the Surface Studio laptop problem, right? What
yeah,
you have is a version of Surface laptop that runs on AMD, and that would be this thing. This is what I'm saying. Like
yep,
this, I don't. People who have not experienced these things don't understand how good this is. Like as far as just graphics power, like it's incredible. Um, it doesn't have the same efficiency, battery life as Snapdragon or whatever, but this is the trade off. Like you're like, no, I don't care. Like this is almost a workstation, and that's fine, but it doesn't address the fact that Qualcomm has a job listing for this specific thing, right? I mean, there is something happening with Qualcomm with Xbox. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like conversations have happened, something to that effect. So,
Yeah.
time will tell. Part of my brain wonders too. It's like, man, what if the SKU differentiation for next generation Xbox is that okay? If you have an ARM device, it's 1080p max, And then if you want 4K gaming and all that, then it's an x86 traditional console like experience. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's fine. And with auto resolution, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera, it's fine. Like you have something like a Switch you can take on the go. Yes, absolutely. But there's that platform piece that's still missing, which is somehow in the Xbox, whatever it is, guidelines for developers, like requirements, you have to target this chipset now, and then Microsoft itself has to figure out with whatever hardware partner how to get existing games over there. Again, they've done it before, but I don't know, it's just so cool. Like, I don't know, we need to know, there's so much to know here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think all we can say are that times are changing. I'm also getting older.